So, how to get money? Do you like it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's unusual, isn't it? Because unity is not just a nice philosophy. It is that. It's a vehicle for thinking about life and for thinking about all that is and for thinking about this thing that some people call God and some people call universal mind and some people call the infinite. And it's a way of meeting people who are also open to discuss things and think about things. And it helps us to develop integrity and morals and good things like peace and forgiveness and love in our hearts and all that good stuff, right? But unity is also a practical teaching. It gives us tools for successful living. So when people ask for prayer, or when people set goals for themselves, or when people worry about stuff, usually there's 4 areas that they're concerned with. 1 is health. Anybody?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
1 is money. 3 is relationships. And 4 is self-expression. Who am I being in the world? You think those are important ideas to talk about? Yeah. So today I would like to address the area of finances, of how unity's teaching can assist your success, and specifically in the area of money. I have a young friend with whom I have fabulous philosophical discussions every once in a while. But when it comes down to actually living life, my friend is very, very literal. My friend told me about being an online study group that sounds a lot like Unity, and the facilitator asked everyone, what is it you want in life? And my friend said, I want a lot of money. And he was redirected. Well, what's underneath that? What is it that you really want? What does money symbolize for you? And my friend said, no, I want a lot of money. I want to be able to say, I have a lot of money. So there we are. A wise person once said to me, the wealthy person is not the person who has the most, but the person who needs the least. Yeah. That's pretty brilliant, isn't it? And it's very true, but in a way, I think I agree with my friend. Because asking ourselves, what do we really want, does sound a little bit like kind of a cop-out, you know? Maybe what I really want is enough money that at any time I can change my mind about what I really want, and I'll have the money to do that too. Right? So, okay, let's get literal. How do we get a lot of money? You'll notice I did not say how we make a lot of money. It's a realization I had recently. Because I don't make money, the government makes it. And they make all they want, and whenever need more, they just make more. All that government-made money is out floating around there in the infinite potential that surrounds us. And it's up to us to get some, right? So how do we get some? So just remember, you don't need to make any more money. The question is, how do you get some of it? And again, I'm noticing my language, because I didn't say, how do you get your share? Anybody thinks there's kind of an amount to be doled out, an amount that you deserve, an amount that's destined for you to have? And it's equal to the amount everybody else has? Wouldn't that be nice in a perfect world? But there's no specific amount of money that you are destined to get or you're supposed to get. There's no such thing as too much money, more money than you deserve. All that money that the government makes is up for grabs. But if there were a fair share for you and me and everybody, it would be so much more than we imagine. There's an infinite amount of abundance all around us. So, you can let go of the idea that there isn't enough money for everybody to love abundantly. You can let go of the idea that your having money is depriving somebody else of having money. Is ringing bells for anybody? You can let go of the idea that some people or some families or some occupations or some nationalities or some anything else deserve more than others. Or worse still, you might have a little bit of a resentment that some people didn't deserve money, but they got it anyway. Anybody in there? Yeah. You can let go of the idea that you haven't earned the right to have money, or that you aren't worthy, or that you aren't good enough to have money or health or abundance or relationships or anything else. You can let go of the idea that how you've lived in the past and how you're living in the present necessarily has anything to do about shaping the way you'll live in the future. Right now is the moment of choice, right? This is the moment that sets the rest of your whole life. You can let go of the idea, this is one of mine, that if you had a lot of money, it would somehow dishonor your family's proud history of poverty. You know, rich people are, greedy, selfish, and mean, right? And they get their money by walking on poor people like us, and so we're better. Yeah, you can let that one go. You can let go of the idea that there's something sinful about money, or that money isn't spiritual. You know that camel passing through the eye of the needle analogy? You can let that one go. It's been said that the eye of the needle is a narrow gate into Jerusalem. And that in order to pass through the narrow gate with your camel, if you happen to be a trader, you had to stop, unload your camel, go through the needle, and then reload your camel. That's why it was hard for the camel to get through the eye of the needle, and it's harder for a rich man to get into heaven, is the saying. And heaven, of course, is not a place, but a state of mind. So carrying the baggage of greed, selfishness, hoarding, worrying about money makes it difficult for you to get into that place in consciousness of joy and paradise and ecstasy and all that good stuff. You can let go of all the things that people told you when you were a kid so you wouldn't get your hopes up. Anybody? Don't expect too much. Yeah. You wouldn't feel entitled. I don't know what it is about us old folks. We're going around complaining about the entitled generation. Go ahead, feel entitled. You are. We're all entitled to live an abundant, happy life, aren't we? Okay. Getting back to the practicality of unity. We have tools. We have prayer, and again, as Leanne said this morning, it's affirmative prayer. It's the same, not asking, it's not begging, it's not bargaining, it's accepting our prayer. This is what I want. I know it's available. I accept it. We have that tool. We have meditation. We have denials and affirmations, and we have 12 powers. And they're all multi-purpose tools. They're all omni-purpose tools. We don't restrict any one of our tools to anything. We can use them for everything. In manifesting health and healing, we use in transforming relationships, in accepting our abundance, and expressing ourselves. We have all these tools. So, prayer, to start with, is multi-purpose. You can use prayer for whatever purpose you want. Some people will say you can't pray for money. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. It's not immoral or sacrilegious or evil to pray for money. Again, remembering what prayer is for us. It's affirmative. It's planting an idea in divine mind. And if that idea is compatible with divine mind, then it will flourish and grow. And abundance, as represented by Monday, is absolutely, completely compatible with divine idea. Just like miraculous healing is compatible with divine idea, transformed relationships. So when we pray for abundance, we're not praying to get God to give us money, to change God's mind about us. We're praying to change our own minds, our own ideas, our own beliefs, and our own expectations. You're aligning your own thought with what God is. Health, abundance, love, peace, all that good stuff. That's what God is the essence and the power of all that stuff. Not some being out there. It's all in here. And don't we say God is everywhere equally present? Everywhere. We can't get away from it. And if you don't like the word God, use universal mind, love, whatever works for you. Everywhere equally present. So that does not naturally follow that abundance is everywhere, equally present. We just have to reach out and open ourselves to see it and to accept it. And of course, denials and affirmations are primary tools that we can use to change our thinking and therefore change our experience. Because when you change your thinking, your experience must change. That's the law of creation, the law of attraction, the law of cause and effect. It's the law. Change your thinking, change your life. And that's the only way to change your life. Change your thinking, your expectations, your beliefs. Because our life experiences are always reflecting our beliefs and our expectations. Always. So denials are a way of eliminating error thinking in order to make room for right thinking. So when it comes to abundance and prosperity, finance, money, error thought are any thoughts that border on lack, that suggest limitation. Because in truth, capital T truth, there is infinite supply. Yet most of us go to the river of supply with a teaspoon instead of a bucket, right? So appropriate denials for eliminating error thoughts might be, I release my belief in limitation. And that, again, it's not just money, it's your health, it's your relation, all that stuff, similar things. My family's social standing is not the source of my good. There is never a need to apologize for or feel guilty about having and enjoying money. Does that go against anything anybody's kind of got hidden down in there? My past has no power over my future. Again, this is the moment of choice. I no longer believe any thoughts that block the flow of my good to me. And of course, as you examine your own hidden beliefs, you will develop the perfect, appropriate affirmations, denials, and affirmations for yourself. Were you taught that money is filthy lucre? Filthy lucre. My mother always used to say, don't put money in your mouth, you never know where it's been. There's nothing dirty about money. We're told we can't afford that. There's nothing unavailable to me when I think and act rightly. And then once you've cleared the space in your mind with your denial, you pour rich thoughts of abundance and plenty and lovely, clean, good, empowering money into your mind, right? I am worthy, deserving, and capable of managing large sums of money. Say that to yourself. Know that to be true about yourself. I'm open to receiving money from many sources. I bless my money and I use and share it joyfully. Money is a valuable tool to create good in the world and in my life. So we hear so much about the misuse of money, don't we? Yes, there are some greedy, wealthy people, but you are not one of those, are you? Many wealthy people use their money to do good in the world, to provide scholarships, to eradicate disease, to educate. That's what you would do, right? And then, of course, we have the tools of our 12 powers. So we can put our specific powers to use. And Judy Murakami, our LUT, has been teaching over the past 3 months the use of the 12 powers. So for instance, the first power is faith. Now faith, Charles Fillmore said, is the substance of things unseen. So there's a universal spiritual stuff, and quantum physics is, supporting this idea. Now, everything is made out of this invisible stuff. When you break everything down to its smallest particles, this energy, this stuff is universal and it permeates our physical world. It's potential and it's infinite potential. And it's constantly being shaped by our thought, and it becomes our reality. All this potential stuff, we're shaping it. For instance, if you're making cookies, and you start with a big batch of cookie dough, that's potential cookie, right? And if you want your cookie to end up a certain shape, you need to go get the candy cane cookie cutter or the gingerbread man cookie cutter. And you use that dough and shape it into what you want. And then you bake it in the oven. And at some point, as it bakes in the oven, it makes a transition from potential cookie to cookie. And we're not sure quite where along that journey it is, so we keep it in the oven and we keep watching it until we're sure it's cookie now, right? You're never quite sure at what point it becomes cookie, so you keep baking it until it's obvious. And it is so the same with faith. Your faith is your oven. Just as cookie dough becomes cookie at some point, so substance of things unseen at some point becomes things seen. So we keep believing that, we keep having faith in that, we keep it in the oven until we're sure. And we see the results of our cookie cutter. So when you think of your thoughts as cookie cutters, use your imagination, right? And imagine exactly that. So imagination, again, is one of our 12 powers, and it's our power this month. We use that when we're formulating our affirmations. How much money can you imagine? How much radiant health can you imagine? How perfect can you see your body, your intellect, your accomplishments? How much money can you imagine and actually believe? You've heard the saying, what you can conceive and believe, you can achieve. And Eric Butterworth tells us that when we're using the law of mind action, we do not get what we want, we get what we expect. Expect the unexpected. Use your imagination. And balance your power of imagination with your power of wisdom. Learn about how money works. Learn about budgeting and investing and balancing your checkbook. All that stuff. Educate yourself. And buy the lottery ticket. You know? We all go around fantasizing we're going to win this lottery ticket, and we forget to buy, or you know what I mean, yeah. Buy the lottery ticket. And then we have the power of order. Put your finances in order. I don't mean worrying and fussing about everything, but order, I mean putting integrity and gratitude into all of your financial decisions, right? And then everything will fall into order. Activate the powers of love and release in your money matter. Direct your money to the things you love. And a corollary of that, of course, would be love the things you spend your money on. Learn to love paying your taxes, being grateful for roads and hospitals and schools. Yeah? Learn to love paying your rent or your mortgage, being grateful about all the lovely things about your home. Not blocking the flow with your fear, but remembering the necessity of all of life to circulate. Life circulates, right? And put a priority on giving. For as you give, so shall you receive. In the same measure, you know. And putting giving up there on your priorities list, for me, in the top 3. Food, shelter, and giving. And make your giving consistent and deliberate. And choose the amount you're going to give and give it consistently. And begin with an amount that's easy to do, or maybe just a little stretch, even if it's only $1 a week. And then once you get that accomplished, $2 a week, then $5, then $10, then $20, and on and on. And if it's a weekly commitment or a monthly commitment, do it consistently, even when you're on vacation or you have to go out of your way to see that your gift gets to the right place. Just commit to the giving, because giving is so important, because as you give, so shall you receive. So if receiving is important to you, then giving is important to you, right? Keep the circulation going. Prime the pump. And it occurred to me as I was writing this that some of you have never seen a pump that I'm thinking of, the one on our kitchen sink when I was a little girl. And you pumped it, and every once in a while there was no water there. So what did your mom do? She got water, I don't know where, from somewhere else, and she poured it into the pump. And it went down the pipe that connected to the well, and when the water in the pipe reached the level of the water, then she could start to pump and water would come out. But if she needed water, she had to put water in, priming the pump. And that's what circulation is all about, right? And it's one of the primary requirements in order to have the experience of abundance, circulation. And your power of power, that always struck me as kind of, what's the power of power? Well, it's the power of mastery. It's kind of the master power. It's your ability to control and master life. So don't give your power away to money. Do you know anybody who's ever done that? Or to anything else? Whether it's, for me, it's chocolate, you know. Be the master of your money. Keep your consciousness stayed on that fact that you're in the driver's seat of your life. And remember that abundance, prosperity, is not so much a dollar figure as it is a state of consciousness. Just like heaven and hell are states of consciousness in our mind. And when your consciousness is stayed on abundance of the infinite, you will get money. We started our unexpected income program last week. We had 15 people show up. It was great. We shared some of those old hidden thoughts we had about money, and we shared some of our affirmations and our aspirations. And some people shared their intention, and we all agreed to come back next month to pray or meditate or include ourselves, the others in the group, and Unity Vancouver Island in our daily practice, whatever it is. And we agreed to tithe 10% of any money that came in over and above what's our normal expectation. In other words, unexpected income. So I know if an envelope comes in with $1, Unity Vancouver Island gets $1, and somebody's keeping $9. You know, we're keeping 90% of all this unexpected income. So we left with great expectations and great love, and it was Monday morning I started getting the phone calls, or the emails. Oh, I checked an old Keno number ticket in my pocket and I won $802. That's Matthew. And someone else said, oh, someone came back and gave me an extra tip. And I can hardly wait till next month when we all get to share together what's happened for us.